The latest group of Irish men and women to serve with the United Nations peacekeeping mission on the border between Israel and Syria are going to meet their new commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Prendergast, and he's going to address them as a unit for the first time and tell them what he expects of them on this mission.
There's an expression, amateurs practice something until they can do it right. Professionals practice until they can't do it wrong. A lot of your pre-deployment training is about tactics, techniques and procedures, yeah? This happens do that. I also want you to understand principles.
When you say to someone I'm going overseas, most cases it's I'm going on a holiday. But in our case it's travelling to a region that's unsettled, that's obviously in a war and deprived area. For first timers they can expect it being a totally different environment, obviously from religion to the background to the terrain to the situation between Israel, Syria, Lebanon. There is a lot of sporadic firing and, as we know, rebel insurgents. There is the fear factor there, but they enjoy it. They're professional, they're trained well, they're equipped well. That's what I'd be saying to my platoon.
For 34 members of the 48th Infantry Group, this is their first tour of duty overseas with the United Nations. For some of their colleagues, they have done it many times before.
In 7 years, I joined because, well, at the time I was kind of like, what'll I do? What's the next step? Where'll I go with life? And I was an early school leaver, so I was even more worried about getting myself employed and stuff like that. I had two female cousins in the army, and after they both joined, I was like, this is a real career, I can really do this. So I joined them when I was 17. 3 years ago, I was over in Lebanon. That was my first trip. But I imagine Syria probably a bit more hands-on, and like, I just imagine it would be completely different over there. I actually live with my partner now. We were together the last time I was away, so he knows that we're out here doing our training, so we'll be prepared if something happens. So I'm sure he's confident in that part. I hope he's confident in me. I'd like to get in another overseas now, but I'm 25, so obviously I'm thinking about the future as well. I don't think I would like to leave children or anything like that behind. I don't suppose you deal with it when you come to it.
I live with my girlfriend and our mother at the moment. We've had a son last July. He's 7 months now, and his first birthday will when I'm deployed overseas. So I'd rather do it while he's young though. I don't know a whole lot about the Golan Heights. You just hear on the news every day about Syria, all different things happening, but I won't know exactly until I get there. A lot of people ask, are you nervous? Like, I don't see why we should be.
I'm one platoon commander, so I'm in charge of 32 personnel going overseas. So moving into phase 2, we'll be working on military skills such as navigation, first aid, operating in a chemical environment. All of our drills and our standard operating procedures will be practice and practice and practice. I've been in the army for 8 years. This will be my first trip overseas, so it's been a long time to think about it. And I suppose now that I finally have my 30 men there in front of me and I'm controlling their training and I'm making sure they're ready, like, it's a very exciting time.
All soldiers travelling to the mission area are required to complete almost 300 hours of pre-deployment training across 2 months. In Phase 2 training, the soldiers do different drills, including bomb disposal, dismounting from their armoured personnel carriers, the MOAGs, and building up their physical fitness.
The difference between a soldier and a professional athlete is the professional athlete has been paid to train and exercise all the time. The soldier is paid to keep fit, but a soldier has many other things he has to work on as well. One of the tests they do every year is a 10k battle run, and they would have 14 kilos in their back. The really good guys would do that in around an hour. Pass rate for that, it's an hour and a half. So they'd all be able to cover 10 kilometres with weight at a good speed.
Phase 3 training takes place in the Glen of Amal in County Wicklow. Since the United Nations peacekeeping and truce observation operations began in the Golan Heights, there have been 44 fatalities. Brigadier General Mike Beery spoke to the troops about the dangers and changing climate within the mission area.
This mission, Golan and the Golan Heights unlocked, commenced following the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Now, you will also know that the 44th and 46th have witnessed more change in this mission in the last 12 months since 1974. Just dwell for a moment on the fact that there are AGAEs within 200 metres of probably where you'll have your bed space. And that should concentrate your minds. This mission...
So we're currently in phase 3 of our training. So this is our first week of the MRE, which is the mission readiness exercise. It's basically where we start putting all the things that we learned in the last phases together. 3 or 4 weeks now to go. Yeah, I feel confident. I'm ready to go. Like, you know, this is what this is all about, getting the training together, feeling confident in your ability and other people's abilities and all that. So, yeah, ready to go. We're going to move into a more realistic scenario. What we're going to be doing out there, we're going to practice over the next 2 days. There's a lot of situational grief, like cultural and all that kind of stuff. One of the things with going to, say, like Arab countries, you might get a lot more information from a woman and she'll probably feel a lot more comfortable speaking to another woman. She probably wouldn't talk to a man, like, in the first place. So it's good to have a woman's point of view as well. Always.
Company commander has relayed through us to occupy the vacant post to try and re-establish communication. Okay, so that's what's going on now.
Phase 3 training in the Glen involves the soldiers doing field exercises and tactical manoeuvres. They use live fire for some of the drills to prepare them for the realities of conflict which they may come across in the mission area.
That's it! Amy, have you done a bandage? Put a bandage in that hand there.
Yeah, we'll get it now. Here, that's minor. We'll just get rid of it, okay?
Yeah.
Get it, okay?
Right, we need one more person. Hold on there, hold on. Go on, get that side, yeah. Right, hold on. Prepare to lift. Good
Okay,
stuff,
go.
We've been in camp for the last 2 weeks. We've been on our mission readiness exercise. This week is focused on the battle inoculation and live fire element. So it's all been building up in intensity to this week.
We think something is about to occur that is unsafe. We call stop. All happy enough with that?
Yes, sir.
Let's make sure this one is safe.
Tonight we're doing an LFTT, which is live fire tactical training, and we're doing a night occupation. Basically practice the occupation, defence and withdrawal from a UN post at night in contact. These exercises will inform how we train overseas. We'll keep training throughout the mission. We won't stop training until we're back in Ireland. That was the last time we'll tactically deploy together as a unit before we go overseas and we're operating overseas.
In Clondalkin, County Dublin, Trooper Amy Cook has just moved back into her family home ahead of her imminent departure.
I was living with my boyfriend. We were renting a house around the corner for 2 years. But we finished up renting because if I was away, we'd be better off saving the money than spending over €1,000 a month on rent. So last week we finished renting. It's all right, like, you know. It's very disruptive though for him, you know, the kind of way, like, he has to move back home, and it's another thing probably that makes it a lot more difficult, maybe, in a way, I'd say. But it's the bigger picture, like, you know, we'll come back, we'll save some money, and then we'll eventually get our own place. Like, so that's why I keep telling him, like, think of the big picture at the end of it, like, so it just has to be done, I suppose. One is like your kit bag, which would be your personal stuff, and the other is more like the main pack will have like the massive protector, uniforms, chest rig, the helmet, bedding and stuff like that. You have to bring your own. Like at this stage, it will just be trying to fit everything in. I'm kind of just gonna go half and half. But a typical woman, I'll probably bring too much stuff anyways. So I can't even pack for a weekend. So I'm just bringing everything I think I might need, which I might regret, but better to have it than not. The last camp I was in Lebanon, it was just Irish in there. Like this camp, there's all different nationalities. There'll be Indian and Fijian. But I think it was only to hold about 200 or so people, and now there's like 600 and something. So it would be a lot squishier. That's not a great word. There'd be a shortage, I'd say, of most things, you know, like accommodation, all that kind of stuff. Like, I imagine everyone's on top of each other, so I have to go out and see.
Back in the Glen of Amal, Private Greg Walsh is packing to leave the camp as formal training has drawn to a close.
Since 6 weeks ago, we've just done pre-deployment training. It's pretty intense, so I'm tired now, I'm ready to go home. Before I joined the army, I didn't really have an insight to it, but when I did join, it was pretty intense. People shouting, having to walk over hills with heavy backpacks, but you adapt to it. It is also a job as well at the end of the day, and obviously you have your good days and your bad days. Days you think you're, why am I here? And then other days you love it, you're like, what are we going to be doing next? Hopefully when I return, I want to go up the ranks. Usually it takes about 7 or 8 years before you even get the chance to do that, but sometimes you get lucky.
The final act before their departure for the Golan is the handing over of their bags to the check-in area at the Curragh camp. Captain Nagel oversees the operation using sniffer dogs, ensuring that airport security standards are met. This is the last time the whole group are together before their journey to the mission area on the Golan Heights.
When people go to these deployments, they're not going to, Germany or Europe where you can go down to the shop and you can buy whatever you require. We have to be fully self-sufficient and always plan for the worst. So the people have to be prepared to live for a number of days, if not weeks, without any resupply. Everything from vehicles down to, yes, your cups and saucers we can send out there.
Admin boxes, 2 boxes will be done last.
In a mission like this, it's essential that there's a constant resupply. A 20-foot container goes out to them about once every 2 to 3 months. It takes 21 days to when it arrives to the mission area, and then we're talking somewhere around 20 days for clearance on that.
Flag search it is. Yes, declaration signed and done. Signed and given over. Then it's the door right there. Thanks.
These guys are going for 6 months. They have 45 kilograms with them. For a normal person going on holidays, you get 20 kilos and 10 kilos carry-on for a week or 2-week holiday. So these guys are going 6 months with 45 kilos, so they're quite limited on what they can bring in regards to their own personal equipment. When the main body goes, the guys here will have all the bags in the container custom sealed. They will drive to the airport, and when the aircraft lands, they will load the aircraft, and those guys will be driven straight onto the aircraft.
Sorry, how many number please? How many number? 0697.
That's it, we've training finished, gear packed. The next time we see our baggage and the rest of our troops, it'll be over there in country. Other than see you over there, that's what I've been saying to the guys there today. Delighted to have the bag packed and finally away. I can't unpack it and repack it again, so it's on the container now so I can relax for the weekend.
Finally, in early April, they're set for departure to begin their 6-month tour of duty.
Interesting, but quite nerve-wracking too.
It's going to be challenging, and hopefully all of us come back together.
It is work. It is a challenge, but it's one that I prepared 28 years for.
I'm very excited as well to get over. I can't wait to get over. Seeing the world for what it really is.
I'm really looking forward to it now. It's been a long road, but finally there.
It's close now and everyone's getting worried. My girlfriend's not looking forward to me going because she'll be left with the baby on her own. And
it can't be dangerous enough out there, so we can. But it's just the experience as well.
It's actually funny, because once you get back, you have this idea that everyone's doing something. When you come home, it's like you just pick up where you left off, It's like you weren't even away, you know, come back and just slot into your life as usual.